It means the end of the world. Purple Rain.
It is the 3rd of August, 1983, and a small club in Minneapolis is packed shoulder to shoulder in the dark. On stage, a slender man in a purple coat leans into a microphone, and beside him stands a 19-year-old guitarist playing her very first show with the band. She has barely rehearsed the song they are about to play. He has never performed it in public in his life. And at the back of the room, almost as an afterthought, a tape machine is quietly rolling. Nobody in that club knows it yet. Not the crowd, not the band, maybe not even the man in purple, but they are not watching a concert. They are standing inside the recording of one of the greatest songs ever made, being played for the very first time. Hold on to that, because the 8-minute song they capture that night goes on to sell tens of millions of records, win an Oscar, and become the song people sing at their weddings and weep to at their funerals. But almost none of those people know the two secrets buried inside it. The first is that it very nearly belonged to somebody else entirely. And the second is that it is not really a love song at all. It is a song about the end of the world. And here is the part that almost nobody knows. Before he ever wrote a single word of it, the man in the purple coat mailed this song to a famous Fleetwood Mac singer and asked her to finish it for him. She listened to it once and told him it was too big for her to touch. We will get there, I promise. First, you have to throw out what you think this song is about, because almost everyone gets it wrong. It is not a song about the weather. It is not a song about a breakup. It is not, in the end, even a love song. It is a song about the last night of the world, about blood in the sky, and about the one person you would want standing next to you when everything finally comes apart. The song is Purple Rain. The man is Prince, and this is the true story of the greatest doomsday hymn ever written. To understand it, you have to understand who Prince was in 1983. He was 25 years old, a private, restless genius from Minneapolis who could play nearly every instrument himself and trusted almost no one. His album 1999 had just made him a star. But a star was not enough. He wanted a film, a legend, a moment so big it would outlive him. And to get there, he decided he needed something he had never really written before. A giant, arms-in-the-air anthem that could fill an arena and stop it dead. So he studied the people who were already doing it, and the band around him has told the story that Prince kept noticing one particular name selling out arenas across the American Midwest. Bob Seger, the Heartland rock singer, the master of the slow-burning ballad that a whole stadium sings back with their eyes closed. Prince, a black funk and rock visionary from Minnesota, looked at that and quietly set out to write his own version of it. Something huge, something simple, something that would break your heart in a key everyone could sing. And at first, the song that became Purple Rain was even bigger and looser than the one you know. By some accounts, a long, sprawling thing with the shape of a country ballad hiding inside it. Prince recorded a version of the music, 10 minutes of it with no finished words. And then he did something strange. He sent that tape across the country to Stevie Nicks, the voice of Fleetwood Mac, and asked her to write the lyrics for him. And Stevie Nicks said no. She has told this story herself. She put the tape on, and she heard something so enormous and so overwhelming that she felt she could not possibly do it justice. It was too much, she said, too big. She sent it back, untouched. Think about that for a second. One of the most famous songs in the history of popular music exists in Prince's own words only because somebody else was afraid to write them. So he sat down and wrote them himself. And when you learn what those words actually mean, the whole song changes color. Because Prince explained, more than once, what Purple Rain really is. Picture the sky at the end of everything, he said. When there is blood in the air, red mixing with the blue of the heavens, until the whole sky and the rain falling out of it turns purple. Purple Rain is the apocalypse, and the song is about what you do when you see it coming. It is about taking the hand of the person you love and guiding them through the end of the world, and letting your faith carry you both into whatever comes next. Now go back and listen to the most famous line. When Prince sings that he only wants to see you laughing in the purple rain, it is not a sweet memory of a rainy afternoon. It is a vow whispered at the end of time. When the sky finally falls, when the blood comes down, I do not want to survive it alone. I want to be the one standing beside you. I want the last thing I ever see to be your face, unafraid, laughing in the storm. That is not a love song. That is something far bigger and far braver than a love song. So we have a doomsday hymn, written in borrowed words, recorded live in a tiny club by a band playing it for the first time. What happens next turns it into a monument. A night in the rain in front of 100 million people, and one of the most stunning coincidences in the history of live music. If you love finding out that a song you have known your whole life has been hiding its real meaning in plain sight, take 1 second and hit subscribe, because the second half of this story is even bigger than the first. Let's go back to that night at the club, a place called First Avenue, in the heart of Minneapolis. The show on the 3rd of August 1983 was actually a benefit concert for a local dance company, and Prince chose it for something specific. He wanted to debut his brand new band, The Revolution, and he wanted to record Purple Rain live, in front of real people, the very first time it was ever played. And the newest member of that band was a 19-year-old named Wendy Melvoin. It was her first ever concert with Prince. Listen to how the song opens. Those warm, shimmering, slightly unresolved guitar chords that everyone can picture before the words even start. Those are Wendy's. She voiced them her own way, and Prince loved the sound of them so much that they became the front door to the entire song. A teenager's first night on the job is the first thing you hear. The band played it all the way through, long and slow and building, with no idea that the take rolling to tape that night would become the master. Later, Prince trimmed it down, added a few overdubs, and swept a lush string arrangement across the back of it. But the beating heart of the record, the guitars, the drums, the voice, the crowd, is that one live performance. The definitive version of Purple Rain is the sound of a room full of strangers hearing it for the very first time. And here is the piece of craft that makes it immortal. Purple Rain is not built like a pop song. It is built like a church service. Most hit records are in a hurry. They get to the hook, they get out. This one does the opposite. After the last verse, it simply refuses to end. It climbs into a long, weeping guitar solo, and then it climbs higher, still into a wordless prayer. That endless, soaring ooh, 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 where there are no lyrics left, just a whole room singing the same note toward the ceiling. The song spends its final 4 minutes doing nothing but rising. That guitar solo is some of the most emotional playing Prince ever committed to tape. Not fast, not showing off, just aching and reaching and cracking open. And as it lifts, those strings sweep in underneath and carry the whole thing up like a congregation getting to its feet. By the time it fades, you are not listening to a single anymore. You have been to a service. You have grieved something you cannot name. And you did it in 8 minutes standing up with your arms in the air. The next year, in 1984, all of it poured out into the world at once. There was a film called Purple Rain, a half-invented story of a troubled young musician from Minneapolis called The Kid, with Prince playing a version of himself. There was the album, and there was the song, sitting at the center of both like a beating heart. The movie became a phenomenon. The album sold in the tens of millions. The single climbed near the very top of the American charts. And Prince, dressed in purple from head to toe, became one of the biggest stars on the planet. From that moment on, the color belonged to him. Purple stopped being a color and started being a name. And the strangest thing happened to his apocalypse hymn. It got adopted by everyone, for everything. People played it at weddings. They played it at graduations. They played it most of all at funerals, holding each other in the dark, mostly never realizing that the song they had chosen to say goodbye with was written about the literal end of the world. And then came the single greatest live moment of Prince's life, and it happened almost by accident. It was February of 2007, the halftime show of the Super Bowl in Miami, the biggest stage on Earth, with something like 100 million people watching. And as Prince got ready to close with Purple Rain, it began, of all things, to rain. A real Florida downpour, right on cue. As the story is told by the man producing the show, someone got on the headset to warn Prince about the weather, to ask if he was okay to keep going in the rain. And Prince, standing there with his guitar, gave the only answer he could ever have given. He asked them if they could make it rain harder. Then he stepped out into a genuine storm, a silhouette behind a giant billowing sheet, and played Purple Rain as actual water came pouring down out of a black sky. The most famous song about rain, performed in the rain, on the biggest night in television. The universe itself had shown up to play backing band. And the reason it worked, the reason grown adults still cry watching that clip, is that the song was always about exactly this. It was always about standing in the storm and refusing to be afraid of it. For one night, the metaphor and the weather became the same thing. And there was Prince in the middle of it, guitar raised to a sky that was actually falling, completely unafraid. He had spent 23 years telling you what to do when the purple rain comes. And then he showed you. That is the secret hiding underneath all of it. The Doomsday Hymn became the song people reach for in their darkest hours. Not by mistake, but because that is precisely what it was built for. Purple Rain is not a song for the good times. It is a song for the end of them. It is what you put on when the sky is falling, and you need to be reminded that you do not have to face it by yourself. And then in April of 2016, the sky really did fall. Prince died at his home, Paisley Park, at just 57 years old, and the whole world went purple to grieve him. Skyscrapers, bridges, stadiums, entire cities lit up in that one impossible color, all at the same time. And everywhere you turned, in every tribute, on every radio, there was one song. The man who wrote a hymn about the end of the world had, without meaning to, handed everyone the exact song they would need on the day his own world ended. Because here is the quiet trick of Purple Rain, the thing that makes it last. For years, you probably thought it was a bittersweet song about a love that slipped away in the rain. And it is. But it is also a song about the apocalypse, and about faith, and about who you reach for when the lights go out for the last time. Both of those songs are living inside the same 4 chords. It holds a private heartbreak, and the end of the world in the very same shade of purple, and it never once asks you to choose between them. And maybe that is why you have never really let it go. Because you have had your own purple rain. You have had the night when the sky felt like it was coming down, when everything you counted on seemed to be ending at once. And in that moment, whether you noticed it or not, your mind went to a single face. The one hand you would want to be holding. That is the whole song. It was never about the storm. It was always about the hand. So here are 3 things to take with you. 1. The fact. The Purple Rain you love is a live recording, captured in one pass at a tiny Minneapolis club in 1983, on a teenage guitarist's very first night with the band. And it exists in Prince's own words, only because he first tried to give it away to Stevie Nicks, who took one listen and decided it was too big to touch. 2. The craft lesson. This song is not built like a hit. It is built like a church. It throws out the rule book that says get to the hook and get out. And instead it spends its last 4 minutes refusing to end, climbing through a weeping solo into a wordless prayer the whole room sings together. Its power is not the chorus. Its power is the climb. And 3, the one that stays with you. This is not a song about the rain. It is not a song about a breakup. It is not even, really, a love song. It is a song about the end of the world and about the one person you would want laughing beside you when it comes. That is why it belongs at the weddings and the funerals and the goodbyes. It was written for the last night of everything, and it promises you that you will not have to face that night alone. So tell me, before today, what did you always think Purple Rain was about? And who is the person whose hand you would reach for if the sky ever really did start to fall? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one, and if this story changed the way you hear those two words, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because there is a new hidden story behind a song you love every single week. Thank you for listening, and the next time the purple rain starts to fall, don't run from it. Stand in it. That was always the point.
It means the end.